Let's start concept of continuity. So what is meant by continuity? The thing or the process that is continuous. You could say like this. But in terms of function, what is continuity? For example, if you have any function that is given like this, function of x is equal to x square. So you can draw graph for this. So graph could be, we have graph for this function like this in the U shape. So you can say that our function is continuous if we can draw curve of this function without lifting the pen. I had draw this curve without lifting the pen. But if we want to say in terms of limits or in terms of proper maths definition, so we can see it like this. So let's draw this curve. So this is our curve. Let's draw it. So let's take the positive side. So this is your function, and we want to check whether it is continuous or not. So we will take a point, consider a point A where x coordinate is equal to A, and we will check that whether function of A exists or not. Function of A means y value. So function of A exists here. So first point we have to consider that we have to check whether function of A exists or not. So second point that we have to consider is that when we are finding limit of function of x where x is tending towards A, so this limit exists or not. Limit should exist. Means if we go towards this x is equal to A from right hand side and from left hand side, then whether the limit exists or not. If x reaches, for example, x is trending towards A, means this x could be little bit greater than A or it could be little bit lesser than A. So if we go towards like this, so whether a limit exists or not. If yes, limit, if it exists, then we can say that, and that limit from left hand side and from right hand side should be equal. What it means? From left hand side means when we go from this left hand side towards this A, then limit, the value that comes should be equal to the limit value when we are going towards this point from the right hand side. So left hand limit should be equal to right hand limit. So if these conditions are satisfied, then we can say that the function is continuous at the given point x is equal to A. And when the function is continuous at all the points, then we can say that the overall function is continuous. The overall function will be continuous when the function will be continuous at all the given points. So let's see what is the differentiability. So differentiability means if we have any curve, so we in maths there are many curves, so don't be scared of this. So if you have any curve and there is anyone ask you a question that whether this function is differentiable at this point or not, and now you will ask what is meant by differentiable. This point at x is equal to A, whether it is differentiable or not. So in layman terms we can say that if your function is smooth like this, then it will be differentiable at all points. But if your function is like this, that is it is pointed here, so at this point this function will not be differentiable. Here it will be differentiable, but here it can't be. Why? Because it is very pointed edge. Okay, but in layman terms, but in proper in detail view, in maths view, what how you can describe, for that you have to know some limit concept. So where I am drawing this graph, so you have this graph, so we have to check whether at x is equal to A this function is continuous, this function is differentiable or not. So for that you have to find right hand derivative and also left hand derivative. So these both derivatives should be equal. And what is this right hand derivative and left hand derivative? 2 point slope formula you studied in previous classes. That was a 2 point slope formula, and its formula is like this: your slope will be equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So differentiate dy by dx your is nothing but your finding slope. So if we have this graph, so if we consider here x is equal to A, and here we are taking some h value that is little bit that is tending towards 0, means this value is very closer to 0.001 something like this, and left hand side we are taking a distance of h, so it will be a minus h, this coordinate will be a minus h, and this coordinate will be a plus h. So at x is equal to a, you will have function of a, and at this point a plus h, you will have function value as function of a plus h, and at this point a minus h, you will have function value as function of a minus h. So left hand derivative means we are coming towards this left hand side. So this is left hand side where you have a minus h. So we have to find slope of the line, that is we have these 2 points. So this is your left hand derivative. So this will come as you have y2 here function of a minus h, and y1 you have function of a, and x2 you have x2 coordinate is a minus h and x1 coordinate is a. So this a get cancels in the denominator, and you are left with, so you got your left hand derivative as function of a minus h minus function of a divided by minus h. So this is your left hand derivative. And how we will calculate a right hand derivative? So for that, let's see here. So for a right hand derivative, you will have this, you will come from this right hand side. So you have points here, a function of a plus h and function of a. So you will write here function of a plus h minus function of a, and we will have x2 minus x1. So it will be a plus h minus a. So a gets cancelled, and you have got a right hand derivative. So this will be in terms of limit. What do you mean by limits? Where we will put limit as limit h is tending towards 0, means h is a value that is very closer to 0 but it is not equal to 0. Okay. So your right hand derivative, that is function of a plus h minus function of a, and it was h, this should be equal to the limit value of h tending towards 0, and we have function of a minus h. Okay, we have function of a minus h minus function of a divided by minus h. So for this, both the limit values should be equal. Then we can say that the function is differentiable at x is equal to a. So this is your right hand derivative. This is called as a right hand derivative, this limit value, and this limit value is called as left hand derivative. So for a given point to be differentiable, at that point you should have right hand derivative is equal to left hand derivative.